What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Couple on Fire podcast. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the 777 rule in marriage, and that's coming up
right now.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Couple on Fire podcast. This podcast is for couples, for marriages, and for families within the Christian community. We exist to help break the stigma that happens within the Christian community. We're talking about divorce, we're talking about addiction, and we're talking about so much more. We believe that all this is possible in this life strictly based on the power of Jesus Christ and his ability to restore us fully. Let's dive in. What is up? What is up? What is up? Welcome to today's show. If you've never joined us before, my name is Josh. I'm here with my absolutely gorgeous and highly intelligent, smart person I know, wife, Christy. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Good. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good. We had an eventful weekend.
Yeah.
We did. And then we had even a more eventful day today.
Yeah. Why don't you tell everybody about it?
Tell everybody about that?
You tell people what you are like so stressed about right now.
So Christy went to the salon today, right? And
That's not what he's stressed about.
Oh, no, I'm not. Well, whatever. That is what it is. So that's not even what I was going to talk about. So,
well, that's what I wanted
Christy
to talk
went
about.
well, you can talk about that next. Christy went to the salon today, and then she's like, I'm going to get a massage while I'm here. I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then after her massage, she must have blew up text messages to me by like 30 of them saying, I already scheduled you one. You have to come. Because I've gotten massages before, and they're dumb. Okay, they're dumb, they're useless, they don't work, nobody cares, like they're dumb. And it kind of blew Christy's mind. So today she had me go and see somebody that she has never had massager before, and it was a different experience for sure. This chick like beat me up basically, which is what I need because my back is really, really tight all the time.
And she got your back to pop.
She did. Yeah, it was actually a much better experience than what I has ever had before with the massage. So
But what I wanted to talk about is my husband stresses out about specific things in our life. And there's certain things that, I mean, he like obsesses about it until it gets fixed. And our water heater just went out. I mean, like an hour before we're supposed to do our podcast. Yeah. And he's super stressed about it. Because after we get done with this now, he's going to go get a part and he's going to try to fix it. And
which I'm not a plumber. Okay, let's be honest. I'm not that guy.
And if he can't fix it, then we're going to have to get a new heater and stuff like that. Makes him mad. And right now we already have a ton of people at our house because we were in the Davison hailstorm and we have people redoing our roof and our siding and all of those things. So we have a lot going on. And now this happened and it seems like it's always something.
Yeah, it is always something. That's just life, I think. But I'm in the middle of, we're saving some money on me redoing the brickwork in front of our house because I'm going to lime wash it. If you've never done that before, you should look it up. It's really cool. But it's still something, and I have to get it done because the painter that's coming to paint all the window accents is coming. And so I have to get it done. Well, then our water heater goes out. So now I have to take care of that in place of what I also have. So
yeah, which that's understandable.
Which nobody here cares, right? You guys already have all that same garbage going on. I just wear the stress very differently. It's that for me. Yes.
Yeah.
It is. Anytime if a car breaks or any
well,
of those
and you're
things,
the one that has to take care of it. So it's understandable that you get stressed out.
It is. It's so stressful. I don't know why it's stressful to me because you're just so easy. You're just like, whatever. We'll just get a new one. It's no big deal. And I'm just like,
well, it is a big deal.
But you don't make it a big deal. Though.
Right.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
And I can't do that for some reason.
We stress about different things, so it's fine.
So tonight we want to talk about a topic called the 777 rule in marriage. So if you haven't heard of this, which many haven't, I recently started trying to grow some of our other social media platforms recently, and I posted a video on something that I saw about a 777 rule in marriage, and it went completely bananas on TikTok, right? It went completely bananas, like 240,000 views on this thing, and most of it is just comments, right? Most of it is just about the comments, and the comments are actually pretty funny. It's basically like, tell me you're rich without telling me you're rich. You know, it's like these funny things that kind of crack me up. But the 777 rule, something we're going to dive into tonight, is more about the concept of it. It's the idea of it, right? And that's kind of what we want to break down. So do you want to tell everybody what the 777 rule is?
Yeah. So and I think it's kind of cool, actually. I mean, we don't do it. We do
portions of it.
We do.
Yeah.
And I would love to get better at it. But it's every 7 days you should be going out on a date. Every 7 weeks you should do like a weekend away or something like that. And then or a night.
Yeah, night.
Yeah, night.
Yeah.
Or it could be a weekend. Or every 7 months, you could do like some form of vacation.
Yeah.
Together, just the two of you.
Just the two of you, right? Not including kids, all these things, right? And so a lot of the comments are like, well, apparently you don't have children, right? Because who's going to get babysitters for that much stuff? And who can go on vacations every 7 months,
People just miss the point of it.
That's my point.
Because you guys have been, we have been together for a long time. And we went through the small kids stage and now we're in the grown kids stage.
Yeah.
And we did manage to do quite a few of these things pretty consistently over almost 13 years.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
And we still do. So
the 777 is a concept, right? It's a concept about consistency of
It's just to pour into your marriage, people.
Yeah, right. But if you get a chance, you should go check out. We're just Josh and Christy on TikTok, right? You can just find us on TikTok, and you should go through and read the comments, right? I don't think there's anything mean on there, but most of it is just kind of funny.
If there is, I don't care.
Right. Yeah, we don't care. We try to stay out of the content, out of the comments because it can get a little crazy anyway. But it's kind of funny. So we want to talk about the importance of the 7-7 rule in marriage, right? There is an importance thing. In the Bible, actually, specifically, there's some Bible verses that actually speak to the core of what the 7-7-7 rule means in marriage. You want to read that?
Sure. 2 are better than 1. It's Ephesians 4:9-12. 2 are better than 1 because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up, but pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. Also, if 2 lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, 2 can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the whole point and purpose of the Bible verse is about strengthening your marriage, right? Coming together, strengthening each other, and doing this over time by being intentional about what you're going to do within your marriage. And that's really what we like to speak into, even on our podcast, anything marriage related. It's about what are you going to do? What are you willing to do up and beyond the normal, right? Everybody does the normal, and the normal is 70% of second marriages fail. The normal is 50% of all first marriages fail. That's the normal. But what are you willing to do up and beyond that? And so that's kind of why we want to talk about the 7-7-7 rule today. So we have 4 points that we really want to talk about with this. Our first point is consistent emotional connection. Consistent emotional connection.
So I have a lot to say that I could talk about this because my husband has been taking so much crap about these videos. So I just am like, people just miss the point. So this is every 7 days to go on a date. And it's him and I used to be extremely like poverty level when we first got together.
We were broke.
Right. And it's like, a lot of people, what do you think of when you think of date? A lot of people think at night, going out, dinner and a movie, you know, all of the things. And that's not what this is. This is spending quality time together once a week. And one time, Josh packed a picnic lunch with what we had at home and took me to Formar, which is a park around here that's free to go to. Yep. It's a nature park. And we sat on a picnic table and ate lunch together on a Saturday. And that's what it's talking about, is just setting aside time once a week to spend intentional time together. And if you have a lot of money, then go do something go to Ruth Chris. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. If you have a lot of money, go do that. If you don't have a lot of money, then do something that you guys can do. Like, just go find time together, even if it's 30 minutes, an hour, to where you guys go and you're intentionally spending time together away from the kids, away from the house, so that you can pour into each other's marriage and do like a temperature check of where each other's at.
It's funny, right? So I had so many people that were making comments like, yeah, but I don't have anybody that can watch my kids. My kids are with us 24/7. There's absolutely no way that I can get away from my kids, and we have zero money. Okay, well then wait till your children go to sleep, right? And then find a room in the house where you put down your phones, you turn off the TV, you know, you guys create a small little meal or a snack, and you sit down for 1 hour. Mm-hmm. And you make eye contact with your partner and you talk about things other than the things that are important in your life going on. And I say that by saying this: you're not going to talk about your kids. You're not going to talk about your finances. You're not going to talk about your jobs. You're going to spend some serious time just being emotionally connected. And I feel like when people come up with all of these excuses of why they can't, is because they don't have the desire to connect with their partner because that emotional connection has been lost over time. You have to pick up the ball, though, again, and start again. You have to start seeking solutions in all of this stuff. And so this first point of being consistent, emotionally connected, it's hard if you haven't been.
And if you're disconnected, guys, this isn't a time to try to get sex.
Yeah.
And women, this is a time to pay attention to your husband if you have a lot of small kids and you're like, I'm just too tired to do so. Your husband is more important than your children. And you need to make sure that you set aside time to pay attention to him.
Yeah.
Guys, it's important to set aside time to pay attention to your wife and not just try to have sex with her.
Yeah. Not just sexual touch, but emotional touch.
Yeah.
Which is eye-to-eye contact, not shoulder-to-shoulder.
That's
Christy
why
has
this
talked
is
about
emotional
that before.
connection.
It is. It is. And it's really, really difficult. Nobody's saying it's not difficult. But you want to know what makes it easier? Consistency.
Yeah.
Right? Every 7 days, taking like, you know what? We're going to dedicate an hour. We're going to put our flipping phones down. You know how hard that is?
Yeah,
Especially
Josh doesn't do that very well.
No. Christy is the best at it. She never has her phone on her. Ever. Hence the sarcasm. And so what we're doing, though, especially if you're in an age group between 35 and 45, we're the worst.
We are.
The worst on our phones, right? We're the worst on our phones. We're running the economy from our phones, okay? And so we have to say, you know what? We're going to be intentional every 7 days. And that intentionality just needs to look whatever works within your family unit. But you have to make it work. Pick it up, whether it's a breakfast or it's an evening, whether it's out or whether it's in. You got to be consistent every 7 days. I'm passionate about that one.
It's an hour.
It's pick an hour. Friends, you have an hour. You spend more than an hour a week in the bathroom. Like, you can find an hour. Like, push harder. I don't know what to tell you. Like, you can make it work, right? Okay, number 2. Point number 2. Rekindling romance. Rekindling romance.
I like that one.
Here's a crackle of the fire right now.
Yeah. Fire season's upon us.
It is. It is that season.
So every 7 weeks, you should figure out an overnight stay somewhere that you could go to. I said a weekend earlier, but figuring out one night every 7 weeks, every 2 months, you know, where you and your spouse could do something. And a lot of people, again, it goes back to, they say, well, I don't have the money to do that. Well, if you could find a sitter to take your kids, then you guys do an overnight stay at your own house, you know, while your kids spend the night somewhere else. And you guys could put your phones away and do the same thing that Josh was talking about earlier. But it's very, very important because it does. So Josh and I don't know how long ago it was, like 4 or 5 years ago, it was on our anniversary and we were really tight on money at that time. And we found a bed and breakfast a couple hours away and we went for one night. We went across the other side of the state and went for one night for our anniversary. And it really made a huge difference in us just going for the one night, just having so much fun and laughing and remembering that we're best friends and that we can just have a great time together. And we shot, I think, a video or a podcast or something from our phones.
We did.
Because it was on a podcast night. And it was just a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was intentional time, though. And I have a really good idea for people that are really struggling.
Ooh, I'm excited to hear
with childcare and with money. Okay, so every 7 weeks, I'm going to take your excuses and I'm going to throw them right down the drain.
I'm excited to hear this.
Ready? So if you have a community of people, and if you don't, I have an excuse. I have a solution for that too. But if you have a community of people, most likely there are other people. If it's not family, if you don't have family, let's say you have a community of people that have kids the same age, roughly the same age. You can do a trade of service. This is why it helps, right? You can say, hey, we'll watch your kids on, this night every 7 weeks if you watch my kids every 7 weeks on this night. And you trade services with another couple. Says, hey, I'm just going to let my kids stay at your house for one night. And then, like Christy said, we're going to stay at our house alone, right? And if your dog's annoying, take your dog too, okay? Look, we're just trying to create some space here for each other. That is a completely free thing to do, even if you have kids, right? Even if you have kids. And so if, let's just say you have nobody, like you have 0 people, you have no friends, you have no family, you have nobody, then you need to join a church, okay? And now this isn't going to be a quick solution. This is going to be a gradual solution, but you're going to join a church, right? This Sunday, you're going to be like, you know what? We're going to go to a local church, and then you're going to start making friends in that church. And then in 7 weeks from now, you're going to say, you know what? I'm going to start asking people if we can start trading services like this after you get to know them. And that is an opportunity to be able to do that. And I can tell you right now, church families are incredible for things like that. We have something called, what's the moms group at our church?
Joyful Moms.
Joyful Moms. We have a Joyful Moms group at our church, and it's specifically for younger ladies or ladies that have younger children.
Mm-hmm.
And all of these ladies come together and they all become great friends. They didn't know each other outside of church, but now they like do this. They like swap children basically, to help relieve the burden.
Well, and something that I want to make abundantly clear, the reason why it's so good to get away from the house is because it is very hard for us to relax when we not fall into our same old patterns by staying in our own home.
Yeah.
Like, and thinking about everything that we have to do and everything else. But if you have to, and you don't have a choice, I mean, you guys need to get creative about what you're going to do for the night for your date night. I mean, even if it means dragging your mattress out of your bedroom, bringing it into the living room and doing like a little camp out in your living room and playing games, or doing something together, watching a movie, maybe isn't necessarily it, but maybe Googling questions that you could ask each other there's so many things out there to say, hey, these are fun things to ask your spouse, just to reconnect and things like that. You guys could have it ahead of time so you don't get sidetracked on your phones, but figure out ahead of time what the questions are that you want to ask each other. Put your phones down for the night, drag your mattress into the living room, shut everything else off, and just focus on one another. If you don't have a fireplace, you can then get your iPad out or something and do a fire on the phone. And so it's crackling noise, So
lay a hairdryer in front of you so it blows hot air. It works great.
But there's fun in inventive ways to do stuff like that.
Yeah, so I just figured it out, right? So every 7 weeks, if you went to an overnight at a hotel and say the hotel is $130 for the night, that's if you save $18 a week towards that. So if you automatically dedicate $20 a week, like, we're going to put away $20 a week. So we make sure that every 7 weeks we can do a night over somewhere at a hotel. You can do that. You can make it work. I mean, that's $20 a week.
And you could pack your own food and drinks and everything else to go with you.
You go, or pack. Like you said, I like that idea.
Pack food.
Yeah, pack food, eat in the room. You guys you have to get creative.
Josh and I have been there. Like we
Oh man.
We had to pack all of our own food when we wanted to do something and take the kids somewhere, like just getting them out of the house and go to a park or something. We'd have to pack all of our own food. I mean, the kids would even be like, the kids would even be like, well, can't we like stop at McDonald's? No, we can pull over to the side of the road and you guys can have, I mean, Josh did a really good about having all these different sandwiches they could choose from and different snacks and things like that. So
got creative to make it work. But the idea is every 7 weeks is to rekindle the romance, because there's, everybody gets busy with their work, with church, with school, if you're in school, and with children, that the romance, it just is like, can we just squeeze 7 minutes in to just be intimate? That is not romantic. Okay?
Well, and a lot of times when you guys are drifting apart, a lot of people think it's bad stuff, right? Like, oh, my spouse is on the phone all the time, and that's true. That can be, those are negative things. But you start having a divide in between each other a lot of times for good things too. Like, especially in the Christian world, like it's like, well, we're serving in the church for Jesus. That's great, but you're not serving your marriage. And that is just such a slow thing that happens. And if you're not consistently doing something to make sure you and your spouse are staying connected, Satan wants nothing more than to divide up your family. And it starts with the marriage. And you have to have intentionality behind this.
Yeah, you got to get out of roommate mode. We get easily in roommate mode. We've talked about that in our own marriage over the years. Like,
we talk about it when we start feeling that way.
Yeah, we feel like roommates. And I don't know, that gives me the most disgusting feeling, thinking that my spouse is feeling like we're being roommates. I don't want that feeling. That is not a good, healthy, that feels like such a reverse thing inside of our relationship and our marriage, and I don't want that. So it's like, okay, what do we need to do to fix that?
Well, we went through a time where a lot of you that have watched my podcast, our podcast.
Yeah, here it goes, folks.
Because I had to do the podcast with a PICC line in my arm. A couple of them, we had to do my medicine, my antibiotic, while we're shooting our podcast. And it was last year, this past August would have been a year that I had this surgery, and it was like 9 months of our life where Josh became my caretaker. I was in the hospital for a few days. I had to have skin grafts. I was going to the doctor every single week. I had wound vacs and PICC lines, and I had to have daily wound care, which he was trained to do. And he turned into my caretaker. So sometimes, you know, that can start making you feel like roommates going through a health scare like that. And you have to be willing to talk about it and not pretend that it's not there. Like, I had to recognize my husband was probably struggling because there was so much going on with me. I mean, it was touch and go for a while about whether or not I was going to have my foot, whether or not I was going to go sepsis and possibly die, you know? And so he was bearing a lot of emotional baggage at that time. And I had a lot of physical baggage going on with myself. And I was also having a lot of guilt that he was having to care for me. And those are things that can happen within your relationship too. So to find the time to do special things during that time, like when I was in the hospital, he brought me up Five Guys, right, in the hospital. And it was like the most glorious thing I had ever eaten in my life at that time, because hospital food is awful. And so scary for you both. Yes. Yeah.
That was hardcore. That was crazy.
Yeah. And so you have to recognize that, though, by talking about it, because it turned into, we weren't intimate really during that time because I was so sick and had so much going on. I couldn't get my foot wet, my arm wet. I mean, he was having to bathe me.
And you were in pain.
Yeah.
On pain pills.
Yes. It was a very, very long. So we know we've been through a lot of stuff since we've been together, and we've been through poverty where we were having to go to churches to pay our bills for us. And this was a long stint. I'm not talking about like a month.
Yeah.
You know, like we had our lights shut off and had to tell the kids we were just, you know, the power went out in our building and we had to play camp out for the night in the living room and protect our kids from the worry and stress of that. Like we've had the health scares and the financial scares and all of those things. Mm-hmm. So we understand like all sides of it, and you still can make it work because your marriage is worth it. And you guys can come together and think about ideas on ways to get this done.
Yeah. True.
Sorry, I went on a tangent.
You're good. That. All right, girl. Number 3 is, what about shared experiences and memories? Shared experiences and memories.
Yeah. So every 7 months, you should do something together, like go away for a weekend or go away for a trip if you can. Josh and I just went this past weekend to a marriage conference. Some of our really good friends, Jay and Laura LaFoon, every 6 months. This would be perfect for you if you can make it happen.
Yeah, if you can swing it.
But every 6 months, they have a May and October marriage event, and it's one night. You know, but you can make it more than that if you want to. But you go to Mackinac Island. It's a Sunday night into a Monday. So Sunday afternoon into Monday afternoon. And you get to stay at the Grand Hotel for very inexpensive.
Oh, fraction of
compared to what it normally costs. Yeah. And your food is paid for while you're there, you know.
Super deluxe food.
And that would be it. So if you could do that for like every May and October, that would solve it right there, right? Yeah. To do that. But it's really, really important to find something to do every 7 months to where you guys are doing intentional time together like that.
Yeah, that intentional time though will automatically create together experiences and memories. And if you can sit and you say, you know what, over the last 20 years, 18 years, all the memories that I have is family vacations, right? Where we're catering to the children and we're just having experiences where it's just serving with the church or being with friends or just being with family. Those are great experiences and memories. But if you can't have memories and experiences where it's just you two, that's a real problem, right? That lowers the level of intimacy within your relationship. And that's why something like this is so important. And yeah, you can get really creative about it. You can get really expensive. Maybe you like to go away for a week at a time every 7 months, which would be ideal, really, honestly. It would be something that...
Yeah, but Josh and I don't even do that.
We don't, but we're shooting towards that at this point. We're going to try and do a family vacation. You have to understand, we have adult children now. So for us...
It's easier now.
It's easier now because even if we want to do an alone vacation together, and then twice a year we want to do once we want to do a family vacation with all of our kids, and then once with just us, which would be like every 6 months roughly. But even those vacations, Christy and I have our own room, we get our own alone time, we get these things too. So, that is something that we're shooting for, and we haven't been able to do that in 13 years.
Yeah. So, I mean, the only 2 vacations, like long vacations, week vacations that Josh and I have taken, just the 2 of us since we've been together in 13 years, was our honeymoon. And then not this past February, but the February before. Yeah, last year. But we have done other things. So you'd be shocked if you serve how many things that you can do. Like we've helped Family Life Radio before they needed volunteers for the big ticket festival. Yep. They needed all hands on deck. And we were like, hey, we'll help. And they're like, okay, if you guys can come up and you can spend the night, it's up north. The radio station gets your hotel for you. Awesome. Great. So
it was like 4 days or something, wasn't it? 3 days?
Three days. Yeah. Yep. I mean, we had to pay for our own food, but that's still time away that we get. We go, we serve all day together, which is awesome. But then we get to go have alone time at night together. We've went to Celebrate Recovery Summit because we serve at our church through Celebrate Recovery. We figured out how to do a Celebrate Recovery Summit, which the church paid for that one for us to go because we're the leaders of it. Yep. So we went there.
That was in Tennessee. Yeah,
that was in Tennessee. We went to a step family summit of Ron Deals that was in Georgia, and so that's important to us. Obviously, blended families are life and breath right now of the things that we want to be doing. Yes. So we found the Step Family Summit and we went to the Step Family Summit in Georgia together. I mean, it's just things like that. That's serving, but it's still getting time away alone. Like we go, we serve all day, or we learn, or we train, or whatever. But then we can go back to the hotel and we have time, just the 2 of us.
Yeah, I agree. And we created all kinds of fun experiences. We were able to go to the Georgia Aquarium, which was amazing for you. And so there was things that we've been able to do over these times to make, like we went to Nashville. Remember when we went to the summit, CR Summit?
Yeah, we went to Nashville.
Went to go walk around, got to see that. Never been there before, It's just these things, like we're taking advantage. We're searching for ways to make it work. And that's why like the 777 rule is, we're getting ready to make our last point on this, but the 777 rule is so important because it builds depth into your relationship. But it comes with intentionality, right? Nobody's saying like every 7 days you have to make, maybe it's not every 7 days, maybe it's every 10 days for you guys.
Right, that's what I was saying. I think people missed the point of this.
They did miss the point of it. They fully missed the point of it.
Because if you are trying, it's not like, if this turns into an obligation, like if you're like, okay, 777, like I have to do it, that's defeating the purpose too. It's not an obligation. It should be something that you guys are trying to do together. Even if it's once a year, you're going on vacation together and it's every 4 or 5 months, you're doing an overnight together, whatever. Yeah. You're making your marriage a priority. That's the point.
Yeah. You're making it work. So that's the point. All right. So the 4th and final point is preventative maintenance.
Yes, and that's kind of what we were just talking about is you have to make sure, I mean, you can talk to couples where they haven't done anything alone, like spent the night alone. In some couples that have been married like 40 and 50 years in like decades. Yeah. And if you watch that couple, you see that they're roommates, or maybe they don't even like each other by this point, or maybe they're bickering all the time. And that this is the preventative maintenance that your marriage needs to keep each other close. Like he is my best friend. When we are going away together and even like driving up to Mackinac Island's 3-hour drive, he makes me laugh. Oh man. And we have so much fun together. It's unbelievable.
It is. And it's built into your marriage.
Rejuvenates.
It does. Yeah. But that's the point of this, right? The whole point of the 777 is preventative care for your relationship, right? It's like, changing the oil in your car. It's these things that we're doing to make sure that things aren't falling apart later. It's like Christy said, it's not the point of like, oh, it's just another 7 days. We'll just check it off, check the box, make sure we did it, because I know that's a real simple thing to begin to do. But you can't look at it that way. You got to say, hey, I'm building depth into my relationship. This is preventative care and preventative maintenance in my marriage, because I care about taking my marriage to the next level. I want to have a happy marriage, not just in 10 years, but in 20 and in 30 and in 40 if we both live that long. I really do. I care about
and this could be something fun together. So let's say you can't do something every 7 months right now, but you guys are like, let's look up a trip right now that we could do, like a weekend away that we could do 11 months from now, and let's say this is the hotel that we're going to go to, this is how much food would cost, this is how much gas is going to be, and if we do it 10 months from now, let's just say, this is how much total we're going to need, and how much money per month do we have to save up to get up to that point for us to get there. That could be something fun that you guys do together. You're both on the same page about it. It helps.
It's a competitive thing. So Christy and I will get that way and actually pull cash out and put it in a safe. You know, and it's kind of like we get.
We don't have any cash in our safe now, so don't get any ideas.
Right. Yeah. It's not like it's that much cash, right? We're not going on $40,000 vacations or anything.
No.
But the point is we try to get creative with it, and we get into our competitive nature with that and be like, ooh, you know, like we keep adding to it, and it becomes fun because we've done that for a couple of our vacations.
Yeah. Now we need a water heater.
No, she had to bring that up at the very, very, very end. All right. As a way of review, you want to review the points for everybody, please?
Yeah. So point number 1 was consistent emotional connection, which is for every 7 days. So first off, we're covering the 7-7-7 rule. Every 7 days, you go on a date, even if it's an hour. Every 7 weeks, you do an overnight, and every 7 months, you do like a weekend away or a week. A vacation of some kind. Yeah. So point number 1 was for the consistent emotional connection. That's to do the date once a week. And then point number 2 was rekindling romance. That was the every 7 weeks that you go do an overnight together. And then point number 3 was shared experiences and memories, going on some form of a vacation or weekend away together every 7 months. And then point number 4 was the preventative maintenance. All of these things are to have preventative maintenance, preventative divorce. That's what it's for. Okay. It's to prevent divorce. In your marriage.
Because we know we're already struggling to keep that at bay anyway. The odds are against us.
Well, and Satan is definitely working hard to have you get divorced.
I love something early on as we close. I love something that you said earlier on. I think it's super controversial, which I think is important that we talk about, especially as Christians. As you said earlier, you're like, you have to put your spouse in front of your kids because he's more important. And I think that's a real hard thing for people to understand, that important means that you have to make your kids less important to make your spouse more important. And that's not how that works. And I really think we should do a whole dedicated episode just to that point, because I think that's a powerful.
Well, especially in blended families.
Especially in blended families. Even in nuclear families, it's hard. So
yeah, in blended families, it's harder though.
Yeah, it's even harder.
But I think we need to do one episode of our testimony. Not testimony, of how we met.
Yeah, like our story. Yeah, our story.
Yeah,
we had someone recently that we met actually bring that up. They watched a lot of episodes and they said, you know what? I couldn't find an episode where you guys actually talk about your story of like how you guys came together. And I'm like, yeah, we don't have that episode, I guess. I just never really thought about that. So yeah, maybe we'll do that next week.
Yeah, we should.
That's an important thing. So we'll make sure to do that.
Next week, you're going to be gone at your staff retreat.
Next week is a lie. So next week for us right now, depending on when you're watching this in succession, the calendar week next week, I actually will not be here. So
yeah, no, you're going to be at your staff retreat.
Yeah, so we'll do it the following week if God permits and allows. But then what we'll probably do from there on out is we will let everybody know in the beginning of every episode, hey, if you want to know a little bit about our story, you can watch or listen to episode so-and-so, and then I think that's a good reference point.
Yeah, I do too.
All right.
That was a great idea, Stephanie Martinez.
Yeah, Stephanie Martinez, thank you for your brilliant idea. That's actually a really, really good idea.
Yeah.
Anything else before we close?
Nope.
All right. Hopefully next time you hear from me, we'll have a working water heater, okay? That's what matters to me most at this point in my life. All right.
It does.
Thank you guys so much for being here. We will see you one way or the other next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Bye.